A very good morning or an afternoon, depending on where you are around the world. Welcome to our weekly Let's Talk EN or LinkedIn that I do together with my good friend Guy in Holland, and where we talk about LinkedIn and everything that happens on LinkedIn. Good morning, Guy.
Hey, Mick. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing really fine. We're looking forward to a great sunny weekend, so I will be able to go walking. And like you, I'm looking forward to a short or a longer break, which is normally called vacation, but in a few weeks we'll be at that point. So yes, I'm doing great.
You don't call it a vacation?
Yeah, this vacation.
Okay.
Or we could call it a workation or something like that, but no, it's vacation. It
No,
will
for
be
me,
vacation.
I'm going to Portugal for 3 weeks, Mick,
Okay.
end of the month. So it will be very, very relaxing.
Yeah, as you know, I'll be going to one of two national parks in the United States and go walking where there is no reception.
Jealous.
Yeah,
Good for you.
so anybody, if you have a question, please do put it in the chat. Also, if you want to put in the chat where you're joining us from, that's always nice. All right, Guy, any subjects you want to cover today?
Yeah, dwell time, Mick. Your article, not surprised me, but it was an interesting one. And I was surprised about the article that you used from, I think it was 2022.
It was 2022 or 21, something like that.
Yeah.
It's some no, actually, it's from 2020.
Okay, even longer ago, but
Yeah.
it's still valid, and I like the approach you took because I think you were, as you told me, triggered by someone
Yeah.
mentioning the longer you stay on a post, the more impressions it will get. So the longer the dwell time will be, the more impressions you will get,
Yeah.
and that's of course not correct, as we know. But let's dive into dwell time because it's still an interesting
Yeah.
part of LinkedIn and how they show your feed because that's interesting to a lot of people.
Well, I think why did dwell time is actually, rather calling it dwell time, I often call it reading time, because that's really what it is. Is an action that LinkedIn put into place a number of years ago, because not everybody clicks on the like, comment, save, whatever button that you can click on a post. So, and they want to kind of rank quality wise the post. And if somebody reads your post, that's also a sign that is an interesting post. Now, if you read the article, I guess there are two important elements.
Perhaps you can share the link in the comments later on.
Yeah, I'll definitely put the link in the comments. It's an article by the engineering folks at LinkedIn. So it's not just an independent person who wrote an article about this. This comes out of the engineering department, the people who actually do and developed this concept.
Yeah.
There are two important parts. It's before people click on anything, which is also the see more button. If half your message is shown, it's being considered as being partly read, and you get some benefits as a poster. So you get more impressions. Your post will be shown to more people. If people click, then it indicates more interest, and then obviously you get more impressions for your post. But the article that I read and that kind of triggered it was somebody saying the longer anybody stays on your post, and I took it to an extreme, which is, okay, if I read your post for 1 minute, okay, that's fine. But if I read it for 15 minutes, I'm going to get more impressions. I don't think so. So if you go back to the article, you'll find out, or you'll see that there's moment in time when that dwell time benefit stops. It doesn't go on forever. And that's kind of like the point I wanted to make.
Yeah. Well, you made your point absolutely, and this article also talks about. Well, it basically talks about our timeline, about the feed in what we're going to see.
Yep, exactly. And
Because there's so many updates we can look at, and what LinkedIn wanted to well investigate is well, what is of interest to McAdam, what's of interest to Guy Strebels, and let's put that upwards in the timeline, and the other stuff not interesting, let's put it way down. And then there was this well, upstream and downstream results. So it's a very interesting article to read if you want to understand more about dwell time, about our timeline, about our feed.
true.
And it has some well A/B tests. So some how do you call them? I forgot the name in English, even in Dutch. So P action minus T
Right.
plus formula.
Yeah, I mean the formula kind of like, if you know a little bit about mathematics and you know you understand a little bit of the principles behind LinkedIn, I think you can make more sense of what is actually happening through the algorithm, and how it, how dwell time does play a role, because dwell time actually plays an important role, because most people only read your post and never like or comment on them. I mean,
That was the most important reason for having these tests, Mick.
yeah.
Because what do you do when you don't click or when you don't leave a comment?
Exactly. And the other thing that comes out of this study is, and that's also interesting, if the people read your post completely, the chances of them doing a like, a comment, or something else goes up by to close to 90%.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of interesting. I mean, it makes sense if you take the energy to, or the energy to read the post. Chances are you're going to at the end of that post say, I agree, I disagree, and you'll voice it through the likes, or you'll voice it through a comment.
Yeah, and they talk about T-skip and well, skipping posts, and so the
Right.
skip update.
Yeah, which means there are finite, measurable time points that LinkedIn keeps in mind when judging, what dwell time and all these things are.
Yeah, but going back to where we started, Mick, a fixed time frame, not if I'm reading 15 minutes, you get more impressions.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a ridiculous statement that I read. I won't name the person where I saw it, but it was just like, I was like, this is so wrong. I decided that I was going to write a post about it.
Yeah,
as I do.
I think I've mentioned this more often. You have statistics. No, what did he say? You have small lies, you have big lies, and you have statistics.
Correct.
I mean, what's really tested? You have assumption, common sense. I like the common sense because gut feeling is always a good well, piece of advice for me to go left or right.
True.
We don't talk about the algo report so much because it's also looking at the past.
Yep.
Things might change overnight. So let's continue, Mick.
I'm going to probably compare all the algo, the recent, because it's the algo season or algo report season for the moment. I've seen at least 4 different organizations, people throw out a report about the algorithm. One of the things that's on my agenda is to actually make a comparison and then point out that they all lead to something different. And they are. I mean, there's silly things, but the ideal time to post, and we all know that that's the easiest one, but I know that's an open goal. But still, out of the 4 reports, they all have a different best time to post.
What's the best time for you to post, Mick?
For me, it's simple: anywhere between 7:30 and 8:15 in the morning, every day of the week.
Why?
Because apparently that's when my audience is awake, and I'm sometimes amazed how quickly certain people react at hours that I'm thinking like, are you awake at all? And it's not a bot, because I know the people personally, and they wouldn't be able to give the answer they give on the post. I mean, today I had somebody from the UK responding at 7:10. I posted a little earlier today. At 7:10, they reacted to my post. I'm like, it's only 6:10 in the UK for the moment. You must be up early.
Yeah, but we have some people that we all know that are very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They start early,
yeah,
and they finish late.
Yeah, and I'm glad for that there are those people, but sometimes you get reactions from Australia, which is then end of the day when I post, and you get people from the US, which is they haven't gone to bed yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but for me, it's between 7:30 and, well, let's say 8:30 in the morning. I said 8:15, but it's really like 7:30, 8:30, which is the optimum time for posting. And I've got people coming back to me saying, whenever we open LinkedIn, you're the first post we see. So, which is kind of great to hear.
Yeah, the more they engage on your post, the more they will get to see in your feed, of course.
And your time, Guy?
I have no time, truly. No, really, Mick.
Good for you. I'm a fan of the I'm gonna post now.
Yeah, and I'm not the type of person that has a content calendar, or I have to publish at 8 in the morning because my audience is awake or active at that time. Because what I've seen is that engagement doesn't only come from the first hour.
Definitely
it can come the next day or the next week even, or even longer than that.
Yeah.
So I have a list of people that I know what they're interested in and what their network is. So sometimes I just post in the afternoon, send a message. This might be interesting to you, and what will happen will happen. But I'm not focused on big views or big impressions, whatever. I go with my own flow, and that's basically what I've done all of my life.
Yep, that's fine. That's a good strategy. There is nothing wrong with that strategy. On the contrary, it's become a habit for me. So.
And that's the case, Mick. Once it's a habit, it's the same with going to the gym. First time you hate it. Second time, well, it's easier. But if it's in your agenda every single week of the year, it becomes a habit. And habits are easy to go by.
And sometimes habits work against you, though, because you don't step out of your wonderful bubble that we once in a while talk about. Because if you post at 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're always going to get to roughly the same people. So unless you post at different times, you might be able to reach. You might be able to reach other people.
Yeah, and that's an interesting part, because we stay within this bubble of our network. But maybe the most important person is not in that bubble.
Yeah. No, I fully agree.
For companies, it's different, Mick, and I'm now involved in well, it's a group of 5-6 companies. They don't have any person really for marketing. So they're building on they just bought, incorporated a new company within the group. So there's lots of things going on, new websites, new branding, but also new visibility on LinkedIn. People that need to be trained Um, so they don't know where to go. They just went everywhere and nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
so it's an interesting journey to see how these people get involved, and they're all technicians.
Right.
So they want to be complete with their posting, and they want to write more than they should, I
Yep.
think. Um, so it also depends on the industry you're involved.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Guy, can I rent your profile?
go ahead. Absolutely.
No. I'm just kidding. I mean,
No, please do. Please do.
no. The thing is that I'm, this week I was bombarded. I wasn't bombarded, but I got a message, a post from somebody in India who actually said, "Do you want to rent my profile?" I know there are companies that are renting out profiles, and you
Now,
go.
rent. Oh, I had a different word in mind.
Oh, okay. No.
I thought you were going to criticize my profile.
No. I don't think I would find anything that's worthwhile criticizing. But I mean, this person sent me out of the blue a message. I mean, like I said, I know there's companies doing this. I've known that for a long time already. But this is the first time I actually got a message from a person. Well, a person. I don't know if it's a person with 500 plus connections saying, "Do you want to rent my profile?" And I'm like, really? I mean, if a company would do this to me, I would understand that they're trying to do this, but a person, that was a new one to me. And the funny thing is, when I looked at the profile the next day, not only was the name changed, but also the profile picture was changed. Which, I mean,
What was the reason why they asked you?
there was no, the message was, do you want to rent my profile? That was it.
Do
I
you
have
want
no
to
idea.
rent my profile? So
So it's like,
basically,
okay.
you had to pay.
Well, I didn't go that far. I didn't respond to the request because I'm kind of cautious about what's next after that. So if I'm gonna reply to something like that, I probably will do it with a not so legal profile, to put it in other words, because I don't want to risk my own profile on that.
Sure, I understand, but theoretically, you had to pay this person
Yep.
to use his profile.
Yep. It's a woman. Her profile.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Nope. No.
To do what, and what's
Well, the idea is that you get the email and I guess the password, and then after you've paid, of course, and then you can just use that to create your own pod, to sell stuff, to basically go on a use it as your own secondary profile. That's kind of, I think, how it works.
wow, bizarre, Mick. Really bizarre.
I know, but it was even more bizarre because it came from an individual profile as opposed to, somebody from a company trying to sell me a bunch of those, which I would have understood, but I wouldn't be interested, but still would, because I know it's a practice that's being done. So I actually reported the profile to LinkedIn.
Would this be a profitable business?
I have
Oh,
no
sure.
idea. I think I will.
I'm going to do it.
Investigate. I will investigate.
How much can we ask for our profiles?
Yeah, but that's the thing is that I kind of looked at the people in the profile, and unfortunately, I mean, it would be a profile that would be of no interest to me because they were all from like India, Pakistan, and that side of the world, which is not part of where I want to go.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about politics, but it's truly sad what's happening over there again.
Yeah. But true. But that was kind of a scare. And I put this in a post, and amazingly, I was amazed by the number of interactions. I mean, after I tracked the results after 50 people have viewed it. I tracked the results. How much time does it take for my post to get 50 views. I look after 1 hour about an hour, how many people did I reach? And I was still within, my normal range. And when I looked at the 2 hour mark, it exploded. It literally exploded. It went from like a couple of hundred to like 5,000 in less than an hour, which for me is obviously amazing, and it's not happening normally. So the post kind of blew everything out of the water. My statistics are completely messed up now, because this post like kind of flew out of the woodwork to like an extreme height.
So what was different from all the other posts, Mick?
I have
is there
it's a touchy subject. I mean, a lot of people kind of reacted like, I don't believe that this is a practice. How desperate do you have to be? So it touched a nerve, and I think that is it created emotion with the people on the other side that saw the post, and that is what makes a post, read and obviously engaged on.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is also that I had a lot of conversations on the side through DMs.
Okay.
So, I mean, for me, that was, I would call that a successful post, in terms of not only reach, but definitely about engagement and definitely about conversion and starting conversations, which is what I'm looking for, more than anything else.
What do you see on the impressions on comments, Mick?
Actually, I don't look at them.
I don't either, but this week
I have like the impression they're kind of gone for me. I mean, when I look at the comments, and I did look this morning at a thread that I was commenting on, and all of a sudden my eyes fell onto the impressions. It was fairly limited. I mean, it was, yeah, okay, you get 20, 50, 70, 100 impressions, but it wasn't anything dramatic.
But what would happen, Mick, if you would get 1,300 impressions on a comment?
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't go crazy about. I mean, it would be very, very, very nice. But I haven't had one of those, so I don't know what my feeling is going to be.
Because I had these amount of impressions on my comments.
Ooh, wow.
There was a post from Melanie Dodaro,
Okay.
who is a global B2B marketing strategist, also active with LinkedIn trainings for over years. I haven't seen her for a long time, but this was the post, hashtags on LinkedIn. So it's controversial.
Oh, yeah.
And my response was, well, I still use them. 5 arguments why I still use them.
Yep.
And this comment with a link to my post got these amount of impressions. And well, all these controversial discussions lead to more engagement.
Yeah.
And if you dare to be different, well, these amount of impressions probably or come by.
Yeah. True. I saw your answer actually, and I replied to Melanie as opposed to, but way after you did. So maybe I should go look at how many people saw my post.
But it's interesting to these bigger discussions that so many people agree and wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of persons that think then differently. I'm not proud or deliberately think like that, but I always want to know the argument why people do this. And I've told this also many times. The early discussions with my father in the early 80s with the Cold War and he talking about Russia, and I said, Dad, you've never been there, so how can you say this? True. So I always want to see both sides before I go into an action mode.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I did a test yesterday. I like to do tests, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of comments these days, or there's a lot of talk about LinkedIn limiting the comments to 30 comments on other people's posts.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm seeing a bunch of the big content creators getting worried and creating posts about that too. So yesterday, I decided that I was going to test.
How many comments you could give?
Yes.
Okay.
And I borrowed somebody's profile. I didn't use mine
Mhm.
because I have a premium subscription. So
So you read that one.
I don't want to pollute actually the test by a premium. So I took a profile that is a free profile, and I started commenting on other people's posts. And importantly to note, every comment was a value add comment. So it wasn't great post and well done, and it was something more than that.
How long did it take you to?
Now that was my first conclusion. It takes a hell of a lot of time to get to 30 posts where you can add a value add comment.
Yeah.
So it took me hours. Okay, I'll be honest. It took me hours. I invested the time because I wanted to know if at the 30 comment mark I'd be blocked. The answer was I did 40 comments yesterday using that profile on other people's posts, and I didn't get any messages or being blocked.
So you could continue to 50 or more.
And importantly, the profile is not blocked today.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what maybe I was going to get a message today saying, by the way, we've noticed some irregular activity. I commented on 40 different people, by the way. I'll let you in on a little secret. The way I did this is I took posts from LinkedIn top voices.
Mm-hmm.
And, you kind of have to go through each of them, their posts, and figure out if there is anything that you can reasonably comment on. So I didn't comment on people who didn't write in Dutch or in English, Dutch or English. Most of them were English,
and not in your personal network.
And no, well, they were not in, or they are not in my personal network. And they were not in the network of the profile I was using. So, but I did get over the 30 mark without any limitation. So either it's not rolled out, or it's just vaporware about 30 comments.
And I haven't read all of those articles from these creators, Mick. But what were they writing? Were they scared, or do they really think 30 comments limit will be imposed?
Well, the idea is, or the comment around, they're a little scared that they might get less comments on their posts.
Okay, that's logic. But what would be the benefit for LinkedIn to downsize the amount of comments we can give? I mean, is it all again about bots?
The idea is to stop pods, but even nobody's a member of 40 pods, and it's I can comment 30 times. I'm not going to comment on 30 people using a pod.
No. Well,
I think. So it's a way LinkedIn wants to stop you to stop pods, but I think it will miss its target. The other thing is it's not limited to your post. So if I get 500 comments on my post from other people, I can add 500 comments of my own, so I get to 1,000 comments.
Yeah.
So I'm not limited. So what is being talked about, and this is what these creators are saying, is on your own posts, it's not a problem. But if you start commenting on other people's posts, but again, like I said, I did the test yesterday and I got to 40. I decided to give up.
And I
used enough time.
Yeah. And if it was true, I think, well, how do they say it? The good must suffer because of the wicked.
Yep.
I don't get it. I don't see the results being more positive by doing so.
Neither did I, especially since I saw how much time I had to put into making reasonable comments onto posts. And you can say AI, but even with AI, it's going to take time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there are systems using AI. I mean, I know a few of them that could help you with this, but at the end of the day, I did spend, like I said, a couple of hours on it, and I'm not worried about the 30 comment limit, because I'm not getting to it. I mean, on average, maybe 15 to 20 a day, but that's also on my posts. So I'm kind of like, well, before, you're not going to get to it. Anybody who gives more than 30.
On the other hand, Mick, if you do a post that gets 200 comments, it's a hell of a job to respond to all of them.
Agreed. I completely agree, and that's then if you get 200 comments on your post, and let's hope that happens to us one day. I mean, you're going to spend half a day replying to all these comments, or at least the majority, because you don't leave a comment unseen.
Well, I don't hope it will happen ever, Mick, because no, true. I mean, if you all have yay sayers and wonderful, super, what's the value of that? I mean, I'd rather have 10 insightful comments from prospects than 1,000 from fans. I mean, I like the people that agree with me, but again, it's time consuming to answer to all of them, and the value is not there.
Well, the funny thing is that a lot of the comments that I gave included a question about the content in the post.
How many responses did you get?
I did get a bunch of responses, actually. I think I'm up to like 10 people who responded.
Okay.
Out of the 40 so far, and then I got to check today if I got more. But yesterday I got about 10 responses. People saying, "Oh, this is an interesting question. I hadn't thought of it." People who actually replied to the question. So I did get responses to them. So it wasn't like the accounts were not dead. Let me put it that way.
No, it's on my top 3, top 5 tips when I do a training, and your comment with a question mark.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a good strategy to have insightful discussions, not just because it brings you more visibility, but to really get into the discussion and the topic that was posted about.
Yeah, but like I said, I wanted to do it yesterday because there's so much talk about these 30 comments, and LinkedIn is blocking you after 30 comments. It's like, I want to know how this works. So I tried, and I got to 40 comments and stopped.
I might do a test as well later on this year, Mick, to see if it's still valid. But I don't think
I will repeat it. I will repeat it at some point too, just to make sure that it might be in a rollout phase, it might be in a test phase for some people. So I'm going to try it.
I'm not sure what's happening to your microphone, Mick, but it's echoing a bit. Okay. But nevertheless, it's 9:33. Yep. So we're going to finish the edition or the session for today, I think.
Yep. All right. Well, okay. Good. We'll talk next week in Dutch again, I hope.
Absolutely, Mick.
Everybody who joined us today, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Linnea. Thank you, Andrea. I know you had to go. And some other people that are on the session. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the English version, I still think. And then otherwise, we'll be back next week in Dutch.
Absolutely, Mick. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend all. Bye-bye.